So let's talk a little bit about this next series that we're about to see. It's going to be Rockets Eclipse versus Sneaky Snakes. Sid, how do you feel about that matchup?
I feel like this matchup is going to be the most evenly pitted fight we've seen today between North America and Europe. And I really think that Sneaky Snakes are going to surprise us. They were kind of the underdog team. They even underestimate themselves. They weren't even expecting to make it out of regionals, but let alone to make it here live on the BlizzCon first day stage. So I think they're going to surprise us a lot, whereas Rockets Eclipse is much more similar to Method Triforce in terms of their defensive play. They've got the Elemental Resto Druid pairing between Jamie and Leanne, which is likely what we'll see from them. I'm just really curious to see how that plays out because it's definitely the most even matchup of the day.
Yeah, Sneaky Snakes they're very well named. They're very sneaky. They keep coming up with new things that we don't really expect. Actually, one of the teams, when we were talking to them at opening week, they're one of the teams that has really put a ton of thought into everything that they do. They really sort of sit back and analyze and figure out, okay, if we're going up against this composition, what are the things that we can change? And sometimes that can actually backfire, and you overthink things, and you end up playing classes that you're not as confident in or is not as good at playing, and you end up throwing the game away that way. But these guys, they really do seem like they've been able to pick up all of the different compositions and strategies and stuff that they've been trying out.
I think the biggest defining change over like watching these players play over the year and get these teams together, gonna call out Evangeline. I'm really glad that he's no longer just a one-trick Ret Paladin, because if Ret Paladin isn't in the meta, and that's your only spec going into a tournament this size, what he did for his team is Paladins are very anti-melee, very anti-cleave. You're going to have Divine Hammers swinging around you constantly. You've got that Wake of Ashes. You've got constant Divine Storm. So you're really going to put a ton of pressure if you have two melees that are attacking you. But the big thing that he did this year is he picked up the exact opposite of a Ret Paladin, which is going to be that Havoc Demon Hunter. If a Ret Paladin is very good against two melees, the Havoc Demon Hunter is going to make casters just absolutely hate themselves in these arenas. Tons of ranged interrupts, ranged CC, reverse magic, so lots of different options. So now on his team, he has that spot. Either he's anti-melee or he's anti-caster, so he can flex and do both.
Yeah, that's a very round way of kind of balancing out your team's strengths and weaknesses. And another player I want to talk about on Sneaky Snakes is Cyfoxy. Cyfoxy has been playing phenomenally. Against ABC, I would argue that he was the MVP in that series, managing to win 3-2 against ABC. Very, very well-rounded Feral Druid, knows how to hold up onto his cooldowns, force something, and then pop that Incarnation and try to close out the game with it, as well as his kicks has been completely on point this tournament. So very much looking forward to see Cyfoxy if they bring him in as well.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be finding out a lot about these two teams and how they match up against each other here very, very soon because we're going to watch them fight each other. But before we do that, we're going to take a real short commercial break. We will be right back, guys, with Rockets Eclipse versus Sneaky Snakes. Stick around.
Getting to BlizzCon means a lot to me especially because I qualified in 2015 and I couldn't make it. I qualified 2016 to regionals too and I couldn't attend to, also because of visa issues. And this year that I made it, it's like a relief basically. To get my visa to attend BlizzCon this year was really difficult. A lot of people thought I would never get it, but with a lot of help from Blizzard, from a lot of people, me trying really hard myself, I managed to get it and it feels really good. Since I got my visa, I got really motivated to practice. I started trying to practice more and more and more with my team, just because I know that I'm gonna it's not all for nothing. I know that I'm gonna be there. Proud to be the first Syrian attending to BlizzCon? Yes. Very proud to be representing my country. Very proud of being Syrian. Being behind and being on an elimination series is really creates a lot of pressure on the team and mentally overall. You just gotta give your best when you're in that situation. You just gotta all in and do your best and see how it turns out. And that's what we did. We tried our best and we just outsmarted Northrend with the blind pick. We just queued the thing that they would say that we would never queue that, and we won it. Our chances on winning BlizzCon this year is pretty high in my opinion. I'm pretty confident. I think we have a really good chance. Winning BlizzCon after all these troubles, getting here and all the practice, all the hours we put in this would be just the right treat.
The 2017 World of Warcraft Arena World Championship is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Welcome back, everybody, to the World of Warcraft Arena World Championship. I'm your host, Josh Allen, aka Devilord, joined here at the desk once again by VHel, Supatees, and subbing in for Zico, we have a little bit of a Sea-Doo action going down on the end of the desk here. How's it going, man?
It's going fantastic. I'm so excited to be a part of this BlizzCon. The stage looks fantastic, the best one I've seen in years, so I'm just excited to get these games started.
Absolutely. We're going to be going into Rockets Eclipse versus Sneaky Snakes here very, very shortly. In just a couple of moments, we'll be moving on to that game. I do want to call one thing out that you guys were seeing in the break a little bit as well, if you were watching the little pans over this diorama thing that's going on over here. So it's really, really super cool. If you're here in BlizzCon, you can actually go and look at it. If you're watching on the virtual ticket, I believe there's some videos of it online. Every single one of those little figures on that diorama over there is a WoW player who is here at BlizzCon. They actually went through and found your main character and 3D printed it and stuck it on there. There's little kiosks that you can look at as well. It'll tell you where on the map you are. So definitely check that out. It's really, really super cool, and it's a ton of work. And a couple of my good friends were working on it. So definitely go check it out.
Did they put us together? Are we up there somewhere in there?
I don't think we're together necessarily, but we're definitely on there. So that's really super cool. Anyway, World of Warcraft Arena Tournament. There you can actually see it right now. It's really, really cool. It's the Siege of Lordaeron, basically what you were seeing in the cinematic for Battle for Azeroth earlier. They basically recreated that using people that are here at BlizzCon, so that's kind of amazing. Anyway, so we're about to go into Rockets Eclipse versus Sneaky Snakes. Before the break, we were talking quite a bit about Sneaky Snakes, but I want to talk about Rockets Eclipse for a second. Because this is one of the strongest teams that we've been seeing coming out of Europe, obviously to be able to make it here to BlizzCon. But I feel like we don't end up talking about them too much. Sea-Doo, what do you think we can expect out of these guys?
I think Rockets Eclipse is a fantastic team. It's definitely one of the teams that I'm keeping my eyes on as one of the ones that can actually win the whole thing. I have a pretty good idea. I know exactly what teams are going to run perfectly just because I got to saw the war games, and they know exactly what they're expecting, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be prepared for what the opposition actually has to throw at them. So I definitely think it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be a close one. I've been counting Sneaky Snakes out all the way, since the North American regionals, and they are here and they're ready to play.
Definitely, yeah. We do have a Twitch poll ready for you guys as well. I'm really curious to see what Twitch chat thinks about this one, and where you guys that are viewing at home are going to be able to, or what you're going to expect for this. So you can see right there on your screen, vote for your favorite team in the Twitch chat, hashtag ROC for Rockets Eclipse, and hashtag SNK for Sneaky Snakes. Let us know what team you think is going to win, because honestly, for me right now, it's kind of a coin flip. I can't really make a good prediction off of this. Sid, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, on the side of Sneaky Snakes, they play a lot of comps that aren't necessarily meta for tournaments. With the Hunter SSDS, they don't really have the Elemental Shaman Resto Druid, which is the pairing we're seeing a lot in the tournament stage, and I think it throws teams off. They weren't prepared for that. They were getting ready for long matches, dragged out into dampening, but then suddenly there's just this Hunter team that's rushing them down and landing good crowd control chains, and the Hunter play on the tournament stage is a little bit more linear. It's always a stun on the healer into a trap from the Hunter, rinse, repeat over and over until you killed the target. And having that simple strategy on the tournament stage, I think, is paying favor for them rather than overcomplicated swaps. They can just tunnel down one target and focus on crowd control and play their game. And I think it's paid off for them so far to get them here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to argue with success. They've made it this far. They've obviously been doing something very, very good. Now, we were talking about Sneaky Snakes a bit before the break, but what do you sort of expect to see them come out in this blind pick on the Grand Arena? Jared, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I would expect them to go with something comfortable. They know that Rocket Eclipse can play a whole lot of different comps, really highlighted by Jamie playing either the Ellie or Enhanced Shaman, doing a great job on both. So they need something that's well-rounded that can handle both a caster, a burst if they need to, plus that scary turbo cleave, that warrior enhanced shaman. So it's a lot of burst damage. They need something that's sturdy. I'd like to see Logan, SSDS, playing that hunter because that's what he's great for. And we called out Foxy before on that feral, so maybe a jungle cleave to start it off just for that explosive damage.
Yeah, definitely. These guys, their jungle cleave, which is the feral druid hunter and obviously healer as well, their jungle cleave is one of the best in North America, easily. So if they come out with that, that's going to be really, really tough for Rocket's Eclipse to deal with. CD, what do you think? As Rocket's Eclipse, if you're staring down the barrel of that jungle cleave, what do you want to have picked if you get matched up against it?
Well, I actually had a chance to talk with Rocket's Eclipse closer to opening week, and they were actually saying that they want to stick to more of their comfort comps. They think that's one of the reasons why they got knocked out so early in that European regionals. But unfortunately for them, I think they kind of have to go against what they're saying here because they're expecting that jungle and they're scrambling, and I think we're actually going to see Jamie on the Windwalker. But on the other hand, Sneaky Snakes is expecting it. They were wargaming Splice all morning. They want to make sure they're prepared for that Windwalker DK. So I think both teams know exactly what's coming. We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Sneaky Snakes, like we were saying before, they've earned that name very, very much. They're very, very sneaky. We got lots of awesome people here looking for rockets, and I think that's someone said "Mom's proud of y'all" or something like that. I didn't actually get a chance to read it, but thanks, Mom. We're proud of you too.
We wouldn't all be here if it weren't for Mom. So
that's true.
Just go tell your mom you love her.
Yes, everyone go do that right now, and also vote in Twitch chat, and also check out the diorama. It's really cool. And also watch this series because it's going to be great. I'm just giving instructions at this point.
No, it's really good. I mean, after seeing those 3-0s so far, it's great to see that we have these two teams which are pretty much matched up together. If we were to do predictions right now, I actually have no idea who's going to win out of this. Probably going to be a 3-2. I might give it to Rockets just because I know that they're really comfortable on that Shaman, like I called out. Ellie Shaman's really good right now.
Is that what you're going with?
I think so. I think 3-2 Rockets would be mine.
I'm going to go 3-2 Sneaky Snakes.
I have to agree with Sid on this one. I've been counting them out for so long, and I think they have finally turned the favor against them. I finally am a Sneaky Snakes believer, so I think it's going to be 3-2 in favor of Sneaky Snakes.
Well, going by that logic, if you've been counting them out the entire time and they've been winning, so now if you're on board, they're going to lose.
Cast a curse already? Uh-oh.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Oh man, it's a tough one for me to call. I'm gonna go with Jared on this one. I'm gonna say 3-2 for Rockets Eclipse, just as a wild guess.
And also has been divided.
Exactly, yeah. We're just a little bit of faction pride going on over here. I think we're on the Horde side of the desk. You guys are on the Alliance side of the desk. We're gonna have our own battle for Azeroth up here in just a second.
Is that how the rest of this broadcast is gonna go? I just have to disagree with you. No matter what, if you say something, I have to say the exact opposite.
We just start fighting, just up here on the desk. We all get fired. That'd be great. But yeah, draft has been finished. We'll be getting into this game here very, very shortly. I'm really, really excited to find out what these guys are actually going to be playing. We can see they're actually all still wearing their headsets. Sometimes one of them will take off the headset and we can go, oh, okay, yeah, he's not in the match, but they're all still wearing their headsets. So I am completely in the dark here at this point. We'll be getting into this match here very shortly.
All right.
We do have the teams locking in, and
yep. So they're both in right now. So that does mean that we can see that Sneaky Snakes is going to be playing that jungle. Foxy's going to be playing that feral. SSDS is going to be playing that Marks Hunter with a Disc Priest Amni healing them. On the opposite side, we are going to have that Thunder, that Arms Warrior, and Jamie on that Elemental Shaman. Nerd Rage is such an incredible warrior. You know, we really saw in the last matchups, Blizzo, you know, being that solid rock, you know, peeling constantly, dealing damage, trying to stay alive. So we'll have to see if he can play as well as Blizzo in this matchup.
Yeah, let's see if Sneaky Snakes can get in the face of Rocket's Eclipse, this dampening long game play style that seems to be taking the tournament by stride. Nerd Rage, Leanne, and Jamie will be showcasing it, whereas Sneaky Snakes will be showcasing some Hunter aggression with SSDS on Hunter, Foxy Feral, and Amni on Disciplined Priest. And Amni focused his specialization on a lot of area of effect healing. He spec into Trinity and Castigation, so he's going to be penancing offensively. He's going to be getting in the face of his opponents. And Leanne playing Renewal makes me think that he thinks he's going to be a target, and we have to wait and see here as Foxy is patiently waiting in stealth. His team is going to make the call. They're looking at talents. They want to see who has Vim. Leanne is playing Vim, so maybe they are going to go on to him. Jamie is going to be the opening target. Preemptive Iron Bark straight off the bat. Are they going to swap off the Iron Bark? And this is the teamwork we've seen between Ellie Shaman and Resto Druid. Jamie Leanne just sticking as close to the pillar as much as possible. The line of sight SSDS, but SSDS has moved in. He's right on top of Leanne. They make the swap. They get the Bark Skin right away. They Wyvern Sting the Bark Skin. Make a swap back over onto Jamie or Nerd Rage. Now a trap out of the Wyvern. Amni moving in. Is he going to look for a Psychic Scream? Doesn't look like it just yet. Now landing it a couple seconds later, though, and that means that his hots are up onto Jamie. He's going to be fine now. Counter pressure. Nerd Rage is letting it rip. Foxy down below half. Jumping into bear form for a second, trying to leap back into his target, which seems to be Jamie for now, but I love the focus on the Feral Druid. He's the one that has to overextend. If they keep the pressure on him, he could die at any moment. He needs to be coordinated with Amni, so great target decisioning from Rocket Eclipse here.
Not only that, the coordination was great. Even though he was down at 10%, he held onto those Survival Instincts, which is a big defensive cooldown. And there we go. He's going to let it rip with that Incarnation. They're going to go hard on to Jamie right there, immediately activating that Astral Shift.
Triple Fear landed. Jamie could still be in trouble if they can land any more crowd control onto Leanne here. Jamie will be isolated with Incarnation still up for a few more seconds. He needs to be careful, just staying at this pillar. Ring around the Rosie. Jamie and Leanne are playing right now as they run side to side, line of sighting Amni and line of sighting SSDS. They're trying to cut them in and scissor them off. Jamie goes for a Hex. Instant dispelled by Foxy. Good awareness there. Stormbolt used onto SSDS. Maybe would have liked to seen that save for Foxy. He's going to be the kill target, I can imagine, later on. Sneaky Snakes are doing a great job on mana, though. They're still playing for about a medium duration match at this point. Wyvern Sting has been landed into a full trap. Amni is set up right on top to follow that up with a Psychic Scream onto two players. Jamie in a great position to heal himself. If SSDS can't get in line of sight of him, it will be difficult to put Jamie down.
No, Jamie's positioning is absolutely flawless. Every time that Leanne takes some damage, there we go. Now the Bark Skin is activated on Leanne. He does have a few seconds left on that renewal, but a great disarm onto SSDS. But Foxy getting stuck in the stun, having to go bear and still holding on to the Survival Instincts.
Yeah, entangling root, get away for Foxy, and those Stormbolts on the Feral I think are going to constantly be happening as he needs to overextend quite often. He's still dipping low, jumping into bear form, trying to recover, but Amni has burnt so much mana to try and stabilize, and he's still just not going up in health. Triple bursting shot. SSDS looking for the carry. Lands a full trap. Jamie on the run as they look to reverse. Stampeding Roar to stay on top, but Jamie's already out of line of sight, ducking in and out. And now a Psychic Stream, Wyvern Sting for cross CC, but even with that crowd control chain, they just can't catch Jamie. He's going to stabilize with a Triple Fear out from Nerd Rage, and now with Rockets Esports defensive cooldowns available, they're looking to be in a dominating position.
Yeah, really impressed by Jamie's play. They're going to go on Foxy yet again. He is stuck in that stun with a pummel onto Amni. Not much left for healing. There he goes. Now he's going to finally use that Survival Instincts. His Trinket is coming back up, and SSDS is not doing too much with this True Shot right now. Foxy is now down to half right now, still not being picked up by Amni just quite yet, and Amni is out of cooldowns, and that's gonna be it.
Windshear landed. The interrupts from Jamie and Nerd Rage right at the end of that match were flawless. Windshear into pummel, perfectly timed, never overlapped, and Amni didn't have an opening to recover, and Rockets Esports are going to lead the series.
Yeah, I really like the crowd control change onto Leanne. They were doing a great job, but like I said during that match, every time that we saw the initial stun onto Leanne and then we were setting up for a trap, or the Wyvern into trap rather, Jamie was immediately behind the pillar. He knew what was going on. Ghost Wolf behind the pillar.
Yeah, Jamie spending half the time in dog form, but doing a good job of it, happy as could possibly be. There we go. Mom loves Trill. That's fantastic. I completely lost my train of thought on that. That was very distracting. Thanks a lot, Dilly. Appreciate it.
All right, jumping into that, Cedar, what do you think about that? Do you think it was dominating, like really one-sided? At least I do.
I'm actually pretty surprised. I actually thought that was a matchup Jungle should win in theory. I think Leanne just does such a fantastic job with the cooldowns. I also think Sneaky Snake's strategy to kind of bounce around, maybe knock off the Vim was really good. I don't know if they were expecting that, but overall, Rocket's Eclipse doing exactly what they said they were going to do. They want to stick to those comfort classes, doing everything they need to do. They're not put in positions where they feel uncomfortable, they're not sure. They just make very decisive decisions, and they were able to execute.
Yeah, very well done. Good job by Rockets Eclipse, able to take the first game in this series against what, like you said, it seemed like they had sort of the comp disadvantage. And oftentimes that can be the case, really, is even though you're going up against a comp and you know that that comp is strong against you, if you're just good enough at dealing with that and you've dealt with it enough in the past, and these guys have been playing together for ages. So
and look at that stat, 100% win rate on Elemental Shaman this year. That's not too bad of a stat.
That's pretty impressive for sure. And I think something to note here is that they're just so strong at this Thundercleave. It's something that they're just so, veteran play style with. Excuse me, kind of losing my train of thought, but
it's
just an excellent job by Rockets Eclipse. And I think this is something that they could definitely take. And I think Sneaky Snakes is probably shook at this point.
Yeah, definitely. That was a very the ending of that game was just so sudden as well. It was sort of kind of out of nowhere, and all of a sudden the game was finished. I think it's kind of knocking all of us a little bit off kilter at the moment, but I do believe we actually have some replays ready to go if you want to take a look at those, Sidu.
Yeah, absolutely. Sneaky Snakes going in right off the bat. They wanted to go for that CC very early on. And let's go ahead and get this clip started. They actually threw Leanne off. Leanne was actually using the Iron Bark on the opposing, on one of his teammates, and they actually decided to go get that Bark skin, and then also CC him right off the bat. I think Rockets maybe wasn't expecting that. Leanne using both of those defensive cooldowns so early on in the game, but unfortunately Sneaky Snakes just weren't able to capitalize. And Cy Foxy's living a nightmare right now. He's getting trained by Nerd Rage Jamie, just doing so much damage to him. You can see the pressure that Sneaky Snakes is putting out on Leanne, but you can also see Cy Foxy just having to run so often, and this is something that is the biggest problem with Ferals right now. It's not that they can't do damage, it's just they're so fragile defensively, so Sneaky Snakes just always on the back foot. SSDS just putting the team on his back there with that triple bursting shot, saving Cy Foxy, but it is unfortunately not enough. Just a few seconds later, you see Cy Foxy still having to run. That was the pain sub force, and this is actually where they get the kill right here. Even though they have that full trap on Leanne, they're not able to capitalize. Cy Foxy's just dying, so you can see they're getting the crowd control that they need to win, but unfortunately they just can't keep Cy Foxy offensive, and that's exactly why they couldn't win that game.
Yeah, and he even died through the survival instinct spare for him. Like he was as tanky as he was ever going to be at that moment in time. They were just managing to keep Amni locked down so hard that he just wasn't able to throw any heals on him.
Yeah, in that match, if you watch the cooldowns from Amni, you can kind of tell when the match is going to be over because he went through that barrier very early on.
Yep.
Wasn't that effective, because Cy Foxy ended up running away from it, and then he had to use the pain suppression, the rapture, and he was just out. Didn't have anything left for Cy Foxy.
So do you think that Amni was maybe overusing cooldowns? Was he using them in cases that he didn't really need to? Or was Rocket Eclipse, Sid, was their damage just way too high? Or what's going on here?
It seemed like Nerd Rage had almost 100% uptime. What the Feral Druid could maybe do is just abuse the mobility and try and kite away. They went all in for the kill. Maybe they didn't need to. Maybe they should focus on surviving. The hardest part is that the priest is just going to run out of mana, so every second you choose to play defensive is another second that he's running out of mana. It's such a hard decision to really make. He decided to go all in that matchup, and you have to give him credit for that. Maybe the targeting could be changed. Maybe Cy Foxy should attack the warrior by himself every once in a while. That way the damage is always going out, because Jamie did a great job of just always being out of line of sight, and it was very easy for Leanne to just always have the shaman hotted. They stopped making swaps later in the game. So I think Sneaky Snakes need to switch their targets more if Jamie becomes untouchable as he did in that game, and they can maybe get some aggression off of that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like thinking about it. The possibility of trying to get a little bit more peels is certainly it's a good thought to have initially, but you think about it, as soon as you start peeling the DPS, that's now CC, especially for this composition, that you're not using on the healer, which means you're losing kill windows. So they could certainly play it more defensively, but as jungle, you don't want to play defensively. You want to be super aggressive and up in their face. So I don't know, I feel like the way that match went, knowing that jungle is kind of supposed to beat that composition, but then it just seemed so dramatically in the other direction during that. It's really interesting.
I'm actually kind of afraid for Sneaky Snakes at this point, because kind of favorable matchup going into it. They really didn't make anything happen. They had a couple good swaps on Leanne. They got him kind of low. That great setup that you called out earlier, the Wyvern Sting onto the Bark skin, let it, ride its duration. I was hoping to see some follow-up after that, but they were just so relentless onto Foxy that they had to play defensive.
Yeah, the pressure was definitely high on Sneaky Snakes the entire time. You could tell Foxy was not comfortable. He wasn't able to do what he wanted to do, and that is a big problem with Feral Druids right now. They have the mobility, but they don't have the defensive capabilities. So if they're able to be left alone, they're just going to tear people apart. But if they're getting trained, it's going to be a lot of trouble. And I think one of the things Sneaky Snakes might need to do here is maybe pull out the rest of Shaman. Maybe trade out the Fears for the offensive Purges, and maybe that's something that they could look into.
Yeah, quite possibly. That would be a very interesting swap to make. That would change the dynamic of it quite a bit. Because you also think like momentum was clearly something that you need to get that momentum going to be able to keep that pressure going. Like you were saying with Foxy, if he's not able to actually get on and put out any pressure, then he has to play defensively the entire time. And the more defensively you have to play as jungle, the less likely you are to ever get out of that. So if they're able to be a little bit more aggressive, which the Resto Shaman would allow them to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe keep themselves in the driver's seat of the match a little bit longer, that actually would give them a really great opportunity, I think, to come in with a kill. Sid, what do you think?
I think maybe if they manage their defensive cooldowns a little bit differently. It's difficult against Thunder to know when you're just going to take damage because Elemental Shaman just comes out of nowhere with Burst, but Foxy had 2 survival instincts for most of that game. Maybe he can use them more preemptively when he knows he's going to go out of line of sight. Even if he's at full HP, just use it to buy him 6 seconds of time where he's like, okay, I can push in and stay aggressive. Rather than holding them out and trying to use them for the most effective moment, because the damage is mostly unpredictable, and he had a lot of defensives at the end and just couldn't recover from using them so late. Rockets Eclipse, we can see their lock-in rate, their pick total. I believe this also includes the European Championship, where they played a lot of Warrior Demon Hunter as well. I don't think we're going to see them switching from this composition unless Sneaky Snakes forces them to. That first game was just so dominating.
Yeah, it is now Sneaky Snakes map pick and counter comp pick. So depending on where Sneaky Snakes decides to go from here, personally, I would expect something like a Ruins of Lordaeron or maybe a Dalaran Sewers if they want to stick with that jungle. Ruins of Lordaeron just seems like the obvious pick to me here. But if they go with that, then that could actually, like you were saying, sort of force Rockets Eclipse to do something else. Because on a map like Ruins of Lordaeron, that momentum I was talking about a minute ago is going to be so much easier for the jungle cleave to actually maintain.
This is definitely something I've talked about in the past. You know, these veteran teams, they know what you're doing when you pick these certain maps, and I think it's something that would say a lot about Rockets if they decide to switch their comp. A lot of people at home are like, why would they switch their comp if they actually just won? Well, there's a lot of things that take an effect, and map is definitely one of those. So we'll have to see if Rockets is afraid of that Ruins of Lordaeron. Maybe they felt really comfortable, but I would definitely say Ruins of Lordaeron is a map where maybe they could just train the Druid down the entire game.
What?
Well then.
That's an interesting choice. So we're going to Tolvaron Arena.
What do they have? What does Sneaky Snakes have that'll let them capitalize on Tolvaron?
That's the thing. Sneaky Snakes, they come up with all these crazy compositions that we've never even thought about before. So now I'm just sort of sitting here watching and waiting and wondering where we're going to go with this here.
I think Tolvaron has the biggest pillar in the game.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
like just physically the biggest pillar. Yep. What just happened last game? Jamie was on a pillar. Let's give him a bigger pillar. That doesn't. I'm not really on board with Sneaky Snake's plan here unless they're trying to throw Rockets Esports off with that map pick. I think even Leanne is kind of like, wait, did you really just pick that?
Is this right?
Maybe this is a trap. It might be a trap. I mean, I would say this may be their worst map, so they want to get it out of the way. But yeah, they're going to take that invitation. Says, hey, you want to give my Ellie Shaman the biggest pillar? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I really wonder if this is Sneaky Snakes trying to play some sort of mind game here. We were talking earlier on today, like sometimes you come out with one of those crazy map picks and the other team has to just sort of step back and go, wait, why would you pick that? Like, why would you pick Tolvaron if you're going to play jungle into a Thundercleave?
I definitely don't think this is something that Rockets is thinking too much about. They just lock that comp in immediately, making sure that Sneaky Snakes doesn't have too much time, but Sneaky Snakes actually locking in the same exact matchup. So I'm really curious what the strategy is here. I think this may be a death wish for Sneaky Snakes. We're going to have to see what they do to kind of show why they picked this map.
It is going to take Jamie a little bit longer to get into LOS behind the pillar because, it is a wide pillar, so it's going to take you a few extra steps to actually get behind that corner. There's a little bit of extra area that SSDS can play against the wall almost, be able to hit at least 2 sides of the pillar at a time, but I have no idea. We'll have to, if they end up winning this series, Bashir definitely has to ask them what the Tolvaron pick was about. But like we were saying before, this whole mind game thing is actually a big deal. Maybe they were saying like, okay, we'll pick Tolvaron. Maybe they'll think we'll do some caster thing. Maybe they'll switch off of Thunder and then we can properly use that jungle cleave. But I don't know.
I mean, they must have studied. They must know Rockets Esports is mostly a melee cleave team.
Yeah.
They're not going to break out double wizard if they were just trying to like encourage that. And Thundercleave is still really good on Tolvaron. I would like to see maybe more attention to the Warrior as a target on this map, because he's going to get left behind. If Jamie and Leanne are just running like this constantly in a circle, the Warrior will be left behind. And maybe if they can focus him, they catch him off guard, he'll be very far from his team. But other than that, the map pick seems to be very strange from Sneaky Snakes.
Yeah, I agree. It's strange. It's very unusual. We'll find out here in just a short moment once we can actually get into the game.
That's close.
That's a
Look at
very
that.
close Twitch poll.
Sneaky Snakes, all right.
Oh, it's kind of
that's
sad
the
that the
closest we've seen it.
hashtag wasn't SNEK for Snake.
Hashtag Schneck. That would have been good. That would have been good. So yeah, we'll get into this game here in just a second. We are just sorting out a minor tech issue at the moment. And as soon as that's taken care of, we will be able to get into the game and bring this next game to you guys. I'm still just thinking about Tolvaron. Like, I guess it is, like, if they can manage to pull them out into the open, like, it gives a lot more open space out in the middle, possibly. And maybe, like, thinking about the pillar size.
For drinking.
It is good for drinking.
If they want Amni to run away and get his mana back, there's a lot of distance that Rocket's Eclipse will have to cover. And that's the only thing, maybe, but...
And maybe they're trying to play some sort of super defensive jungle or something?
I've heard some of the Europeans saying that some of the more defensive jungles are actually the hardest one to beat, because if you live long enough, eventually maybe you're going to get enough goes to actually win that game, so we're going to have to see if they decide to play very defensive this game.
Well, here we go. Game is just about to start. Rocket Esports up 1-0 versus Sneaky Snakes. Are the Sneaky Snakes going to come back around, or is Rockets Esports just going to extend their lead?
You see Jamie, there may as well be train tracks on the pillar, because he can only run in one line around the pillar. It seems like, at least in the last game and now moving into this one. And they're all stacked up together to make sure they're in line of sight for the opening pressure, but that means they're all stacked up for a triple fear as well. And you can see Amni slowly but surely making his way in. Doesn't want to commit all the way, though. Jamie already running out of line of sight, and this is where the drawback of this map. Jamie is just running around the biggest pillar in the game, and they're going to have to switch targets. I like that. Focus down Nerd Rage more on this map, but you don't have to focus enough that you're going to kill him, but put damage onto him, so Leanne has to come back and heal him. Jamie will have to come back to the fight as well, rather than chasing down the target.
I think a really smart talent pick from Leanne is he's gonna be playing Disentanglement, which is going to be with his F-low down, that is going to remove snares. So Jamie's actually gonna have a better time fighting. And look at the size of that F-low. It's the size of the pillar.
Yeah, we see Amni in a Stormbolt, Cyfoxy in a Bash as Rockets Esports are trying to get some crowd control out. Pressure isn't too high just yet. Jamie eats the trap. Great positioning from Jamie and Leanne once again, breaking up that crowd control. Leanne was able to escape from the fear as well, which means that Sneaky Snake's crowd control is all used up. They need to consider just running away, looking for a drink, and playing for the long game, because that's the only advantage they have on this map. And Amni is very far away. SSDS needs to be careful, though. He's caught in center field. Vortex down to hold him in place. Amni can't go for the drink. Comes back immediately to recover from that situation. But they got Nerd Rage in the open. They're going to go after him. He leaps back to the pillar. Life grips Cyfoxy away, and Nerd Rage is just going to have to make his way back. I really like the pressure on the Warrior on this map.
Yeah.
If Amni can stay far away and drink and reset, maybe they have a chance in a late game.
No, that is good. Cyfoxy actually attacking Nerd Rage this time. We did see a mind control onto Nerd Rage right there. And he's going to push up, full trap onto Leanne, or half trap rather, as going to get feared off of that. Also, Jamie, that is going to get out the Astral Shift. So there's the first piece of the puzzle down.
Yeah, now Leanne needs to be ready to use his Iron Bark to save Jamie, as SSDS and Jamie are going one-on-one behind the pillar. Jamie seems to be evenly matched for now, and immediately retreats back to that pillar, back onto his train tracks, running around the circuit. Nerd Rage is getting pressured. I like this from Sneaky Snakes. Keep the Warrior under fire. That way Rockets Esports have to come back to assist him, or they're basically doing nothing. Jamie can't stay behind the pillar by himself with Leanne forever. If Amni sneaks away and gets drinks, that could be threatening for late game, but Amni needs to be aware of that. He's already almost at 50%. Looks like they're making a push. Amni moving in, SSDS moving up. Cyfox already committed the stun, though, and that's going to be difficult for SSDS to land the trap. Manages to get his pet alive, though. Very important to keep that carrion bird for the Mortal Strike. Goes for a bursting shot trap, but Cyfoxy at the same time is getting bursted by Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage really letting it rip with that Blade Storm down to about half. Cyfoxy trying to stay aggressive. Double Fear landed, keeping some pressure on Nerd Rage as well. He's down at about 80%, but Sneaky Snakes need to keep an eye on Amni's mana. If they don't look for a drink soon, that could be the breaking point.
It is. Nerd Rage getting down to about half. I like that they are actually dealing damage to him. Oh, well, look at that explosive burst onto SSDS with that Earth Shock. Tons of damage, forcing out the turtle aspect of the turtle right there. It's a big defensive cooldown. That's pretty much his only one, as we do see Amni with the Archangel up. But like I said before, look at his cooldowns. He is completely out of cooldowns.
They're trying to get some split pressure onto the Resto Druid with crowd control onto the entire team. Tons of burst following that up. Lian down about 10%. Renewal and Rallying Cry comboed together for a massive heal, allowing Lian to recover easily. Now Cyfoxy and SSDS, I'd like to see them focus on defense. Get out of there. Their crowd control is over. They got the pressure. They got the cooldowns. Make a quick getaway, reset, calm down, try and bait them off the pillar and go again because they're overstaying their welcome. They cannot stay inside of this meat cleaver forever. If Nerd Rage touches anyone for a couple of seconds, it seems like they explode.
Yeah, and there, Cyfoxy is going to sit back and heal a bunch because those were his survival instincts that are down now. Amity, look at that, running out of mana right now. Lian's sitting pretty good. Jamie looks like did get trapped right there just for a second because SSDS is going for the pet res. Down to half, both members of the team low. We do have a kick onto Amity too.
Lian and Jamie are just killing Cyfoxy behind the pillar. He can never overextend. He gets storm bolted again. Is he going to commit for the kill or just go down? Vortex behind the pillar. Amity in a good position, but gets wind sheared. If they can follow up with any more crowd control, I'd like to see them just run away. Just leave that pillar. Don't stand on top of them anymore. They're losing this constant battle. They don't have the sustained damage to keep it up, and now Lian's trying to punish with some Cyclones. SSDS and Cyfoxy are trying to get away, but it might be too little too late as that little bear tries to charge his way away from Nerd Rage, but Nerd Rage is right on top of him. The triple clones looking to close this match. Life grip at 2% is not enough. Jamie claims that kill, and Sneaky Snakes overstay their welcome.
Yeah, they just missed interrupting Lian Cyclones there towards the end, unfortunately. So Rock Esports, though, up 2-0 over Sneaky Snakes.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
It was.
That was kind of weird from the draft even, all the way up through that. And I think it ended up playing out pretty much how we were kind of expecting it to. Which is, again, why it was such a weird pick. They were just stuck on that pillar the entire time, trying to chase down Jamie, eventually trying to chase down Lian instead. But it was just so easy for them to get out of line of sight when they needed to. And then also, counter pressure, now that they've managed to pull the Cyfoxy behind the pillar, just put so much damage into him, eventually he just couldn't even get away.
Yeah, I think Sneaky Snakes definitely threw away their map pick there, and I think this is one of the things that actually happened at BlizzCon. This is the first time this team is playing in front of a live audience. There's a lot of pressure on the line. I think they definitely maybe are letting the nerves get to them a little bit. All of us up here kind of agree that unless they were changing their strategy drastically, that it was definitely going to be very, very bad for them, and that's exactly what they saw. They didn't do anything differently, and it looked almost like a repeat of the game one, except a little worse. I think the map was actually worse for them.
Yeah. We actually have a couple of clips that we can take a look at as well on the replay. Sidhu, if you want to walk us through those.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I like to see here right at the start of this game is Sneaky Snakes pushing in. You could tell that they're playing the jungle cleave. They want to be aggressive. And let's go ahead and get this clip started. They actually are trying to get the pressure out immediately. You see that full bash onto Lian right there. The pressure is moving onto Jamie. They follow that CC up a little late with the disorient into the full trap. And you could see Jamie just using this massive pillar to his advantage. This is definitely one of the big problems with this Tolvaron map. They followed up with the half fear right there, and they actually get no CDs from that. So this is a huge problem with Sneaky Snakes getting that full CC chain and not forcing anything. That just puts them so far behind. They are definitely on a timer. And once again, you see him getting this pressure out, this CC out, but they're just not getting any pressure. You see Cyfoxy on the other hand, they're getting the full CC, and Cyfoxy's actually the one taking the worst end of the exchange. So you got to think, Sneaky Snakes, how are they going to win this game? They actually decide to switch it up not too much later. They decide to go for Lian, but at this point, they've already wasted the first two goes. They're committing the CDs, and they do a great job CCing the DPS there. And maybe if they started with the strategy to attack Lian from the start, after forcing that bark skin, it could have worked. And this is something that we talked about, we thought we'd see a lot sooner. They're trying to use this map to their advantage, and I think if they actually started running a little bit earlier, they forced Jamie and Lian off that pillar, it could be something that was actually able to work for them. But you see Lian just getting those perfect triple clones into the death on Cyfoxy, so great job by Lian. He's really impressed me so far this tournament, his positioning, his cooldown management, and the way he's able to CC.
Yeah, it was very, very well played there from Rockets Esports. They were just so much in control for basically that entire map. It's always a terrible feeling. You were talking about this as well. A terrible feeling when you get that perfect CC chain on the healer, and yet somehow at the end of that, they've used no cooldowns. Their team is at full health, and one of your guys is almost dead.
Yeah, I saw a glimmer of hope at the beginning in terms of positioning. Like we were saying, we wanted Cyfoxy to be hitting Nerd Rage, and it seemed like Nerd Rage was the player on Rockets that was out in the middle, you know, getting kind of close to where Amity was, you know, where Cyfoxy and SSDS were. So the moments when Jamie had to run with Lian, we did see Cyfoxy start to deal some damage on to Nerd Rage. So maybe continue that momentum. It's really tough to say. That map was really rough for Sneaky Snakes.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very interesting choice there, which now means we're going to have another interesting choice. If they don't pick Lordaeron here, then I don't know what this is.
Well, I think Lordaeron's a good pick. I also think Dalaran is definitely not a bad pick, but you can kind of see if they're able to run around those boxes together, the Earthquakes are going to stack up. I think, once again, Rockets is going to have the advantage there. So if we don't see Ruins and maybe even a healer swap here, I'd be okay with just Ruins. I do think maybe it's time to switch it up, maybe pull in the Resto Shaman, go for those spam purges. I think we'd see a big difference. That half fear in the opener, force no CDs. Imagine if Amni was on that Resto Shaman purging every single global. He's going to come out of that CC, he's going to have to get a ton of hots up, and you can actually maybe ride that momentum for the kill. So we're definitely going to need to see something big here from Sneaky Snakes for them to come back in the series.
Yeah, we do have the Ruins of Lordaeron pick, Rockets Eclipse, taking just a couple of seconds here to decide what comps they're going to play. I'm noting that Jamie isn't really participating in the conversation, which to me means he's probably going to go with that Elemental Shaman again. And there it is, yeah, coming out with the Elemental Shaman, the Warrior, with that Thunder Cleave. So now it's up to Sneaky Snakes. Are they going to lock in? I feel like at this point, if you're going to play jungle, you need to play jungle on Ruins of Lordaeron. I think that makes perfect sense. But are they going to change up the healer?
He was having some problems with those large pillars, staying alive, being able to kite a little bit. So going to be pretty tough, but they could really go all in.
What on earth? What the? What am I looking at on my screen right now? This is desperation.
So
this is
double shaman.
No other options.
This isn't desperation. This is just plain inexperience. I mean, they were definitely close to winning those games. You could play jungle a little cleaner. You could switch to the Resto Shaman. Yeah.
They got him down extremely low, forced a few cooldowns. I think it's just if they would have played jungle just cleaner, better swaps, better positioning, protect side boxing a little bit more. But who knows?
Yeah.
This pick is
Just trying to confuse Rockets Esports, maybe. Like, here is a random set of specializations that makes no sense. Deal with it. Decision.
I mean, so just to reiterate for anybody who may have missed what we're talking about here, they have locked in Restoration Shaman, Elemental Shaman, Retribution Paladin for Sneaky Snakes. And that is not a series of words I thought I would be saying this weekend.
This is something as a player, when you see and you're on the other side of, you're like, yes. You're so happy that you shook this team so bad to the point where they're doing anything they can to try and just think of an answer. And this is something where I can definitely see Rockets Eclipse sweeping this series 3-0.
That said, we've seen Sneaky Snakes come out from underneath terrible rocks before, so maybe this will be another case of that here. We're about to get underway on Ruins of Lordaeron. Rockets Esports up 2-0 versus Sneaky Snakes, looking to close this out. Sneaky Snakes looking to make their comeback.
Right, we're 10 seconds away from countdown, and Ruins of Lordaeron would be a fitting final resting place as it is a cemetery. Let's see if Rockets Esports can claim a clean 3-0 over Sneaky Snakes that seem to be shaken as they're breaking out what would seem a random composition. Avenge is going to be leading the charge. He wants to get into the battle. He does not want to go down in this series without at least putting up a fight. Can Avengeline put the team on his back is the question.
And Avenge is going to be playing Avenging Wrath instead of Crusade, and so he's going to have that Divine Purpose, those reset procs, but they're going to go on Amni right away. Avenge also taking some damage. Nerd Rage just going to sit on the back of this Resto Shaman, but they're doing a good job of punishing him for that. Great knockback by SSDS. It looks like Rockets is just bouncing around, dealing damage to whoever they want at this point.
And Avengeline is going to be the squishiest, most immobile target, and that's why they're focusing him down, already getting the eye for an eye out from him, even looking for a Divine Shield. Amni's trying to position here behind the Cemetery Tomb to keep heals going and avoid being wind sheared. It's a decent positioning. Double Fear landed. Sanctuary was delayed for a moment, but now with that crowd control over, Amni needs to connect out some heals. SSDS is trying to focus down Leanne and try and get that Vim off, get the 20% bonus healing. If they can get Leanne below 80%, he loses 20% increased healing. They're going to go for a Hammer of Justice. They get a Trinket with that attempt, maybe even a Barskin. They need to try and get more if they want to line up for the Avenging Wrath later, but they don't get it. Now Avenge has overextended. Will he get bursted down? No, Nerd Rage is actually going after SSDS, and I wonder if that may end up being a mistake. Both the Elemental Shamans are going to be very difficult to touch, and the Red Paladin's going to be racing down Jamie. Avenge versus Jamie. Nerd Rage versus SSDS. SSDS seems to be doing a better job so far. Jamie now finally landing a root into a Hex to avoid the aggression, but with 2 decurses, that is not going to sit too long. At this point, this is going to probably be a long match, but I expect it's going to end with Amni running out of mana and Avenge dying. So if Rockets Esports just play this out standard, I think this is going to be their series.
Yeah, we see a stun onto Leanne. A little bit of damage. SSDS, unfortunately, wasn't able to connect onto Leanne since he was behind line of sight when he did get stunned. SSDS getting kind of low right now, trying to hold on to those cooldowns, but he has to use that Astral Shift. Great interrupt onto Amni right there, but Avengeline and SSDS taking a ton of damage. He needs to heal him up. as Amni is just having lots of problems with Nerd Rage on his back.
Nerd Rage basically 1v2ing Amni and SSDS over here. There's no counter pressure towards the Warrior. He has free uptime onto the healer. SSDS needs to be focusing down that Warrior. He's just going all out on Amni, and Amni's trying to get away. He's still down at about half and seems to be having a hard time now getting pummeled. If Jamie even gets in line of sight for a second, they could erase him. They make another swap to Lian, but he got into bear form just before the attempt. But luckily their team is mostly magic. That bear form didn't mitigate too much. Frenzy Regeneration going to buy him time as he displaces across the map. Jamie pressuring Avenge. Avenge needs to get more done with this Avenging Crusader. Will he be able to find it? Gets bashed away. Lian is able to kite quite easily. Now looking for the Cyclone. SSDS not in position to deny it. Even with 2 wind shears, they're going to shut down Avenge's offensive cooldowns completely.
Yeah, I really like that Lian realized where the Shamans were and was able to toss out those Cyclones. Nerd Rage getting down to about half right now. Lian trying to get some heals onto him, but they're away from each other, and lots of instant procs from SSDS is going to spike Lian down a little bit. That Stormkeeper is up for it. Jamie right now, let's see what he does with it. Nerd Rage still sitting on the back of SSDS with that stun onto Lian with a big spike of damage coming up, and that is what we're looking for. Sneaky Snakes really needs to capitalize, but they're going to turn it right around onto SSDS with that Earthshock stun.
Yeah, Nerd Rage is staying right on his tail. Amni getting windshield by Jamie as Rockets Esports look to close. SSDS is trying to cling to life, kiting away and Ghost Wolf for every second, but every second he's taking damage, Amni's mana is ticking down faster and faster, and SSDS just can't get away. Nerd Rage is having almost 100% uptime. They go for the Hammer of Justice on Lian, but they don't switch to him in time. They weren't in position. He can easily sit through that, and every time they don't get a cooldown during the stun, his other cooldown, like Barkskin right now, which is coming up in 25 seconds, will be available, and any sort of kill window in that swap is going to be lost. Don't think they're going to be killing Jamie through Ghost Wolf or Nerd Rage through defensive stance. Really, Lian is their only kill target during a burst window. Avenge is trying to stay on target, but Jamie's just laughing at him, kiting away. Avenge is forced to switch targets now. He's going to charge towards Lian, looking for some cleave pressure onto the Warrior as well. Lian actually opts to Trinket very early on. I guess the Stormkeeper was threatening from SSDS. He wanted to save some cooldowns for later. Avenge is now low. Amni's trying to pick his team back up, but this is still looking completely one-sided for Rockets Esports.
Yeah, the 2 Elemental Shamans are trying to set up for the team. Jamie does get the Stormkeeper off, dealing a little bit of damage with that. SSDS down to half right now. Amni still has a bunch of cooldowns remaining, however. Most important is going to be that Spirit Link Totem, but they're going to have to collapse together to gain benefit from that.
Yeah, SSDS and Jamie are going one-on-one in the center of the map right now as Avenge trains down the healer. And they do manage to catch Lian into a stun, but during bear form, so he's going to trade out Barkskin, quite easily survive this. And now SSDS may have overextended. Jamie's lobbing out the Lava Burst, looking to set up an Ice Fury. Tons of Frost Shocks as both Shamans go at it. Jamie's now actually falling behind in the exchange. Lian trying to recover with a quick-timed Iron Bark. Jamie retreats back to the room. If SSDS can get a couple more burst moments like that, they could pull off a miracle, but unless they set up a drink and get some mana for the late game, things are not looking good.
All right, Evangeline trying to make his way over to Lian right now is going to take a lot of damage from Jamie, though, as Lian is starting to rot down. No cooldown, so this is the swap that they need. They're going to go hard onto Jamie right now, who's down to half, taking some damage, but great crowd control onto Avenge means he can't connect with his target.
Yeah, and Avenge is basically just attacking whatever he can, but he's out in the open. Jamie's free casting, trades out eye for an eye, but now they're stacked up for a triple Stormkeeper Chain Lightning as Amni tries to recover off the back end of that, but Rockets Esports are keeping up their momentum. Sneaky Snakes are trying to pull off the miracle. They found an opportunity where Lian does not have defensive cooldowns, but there's no damage to follow it up. That was their one opening for a miracle kill. They don't get it. Lian survives. His cooldowns are going to rotate back up very shortly, and now the Sneaky Snakes are going to be even further on the back foot with their healer Amni at basically 0 mana. Unless he's trying to sit down for a drink, it doesn't look like it. Jamie's right on top of him. He's not going to let that happen. SSDS is still down at half. Avenge is down at half. And unless Amni can get somewhere and get some drinks off and get some mana back, it's just inevitably going to end in favor of Rockets Esports.
Yeah, there's not many defensive cooldowns they can trade to get those drinks off. So I think Amni's kind of in trouble at this point. The stun onto Lian, not going to make anything happen off of that. He has both defensive cooldowns back up in case they do spike him down. SSD has taken a lot of damage. This is looking hugely in favor of Rockets Esports.
Yeah, and SSDS has Astral Shift available, but he's greeding it. You can't greed the cooldowns when your healer is out of mana. And at this point, I don't even think it would save him if Nerd Rage is able to connect. Nerd Rage is just marching his way over. Jamie is still just tunneling in damage constantly. SSDS is so low on HP. SSDS is trying to make a miracle reversal with that Earthshock, but it doesn't do enough damage to force Jamie back. And now Jamie will have free reign as he rains terror down. Lian caught into the stun, but a disarm on Avenge denies his damage. A pummel on SSDS puts him him out of the fight. And now SSDS is slowly but surely going to go down here as Amni has nothing left. Surely a Spirit Link totem is going to have to be used here. Spirit Link gets dropped. He immediately jumps out of it. He can't stay next to Nerd Rage for much time as Rockets Esports look to clean this up. Thunderstorm, SSDS buying as much time as he can as they go one-on-one with Jamie versus SSDS, Elemental Shaman versus Elemental Shaman. But at this point, it's looking inevitable for Rockets Esports to win. There's only one more opportunity to kill Jamie. If Amni can keep his team in this game long enough for the Hammer of Justice, they've got Stormkeeper, they've got Avenging Wrath, they have all the offensive cooldowns. Jamie is an opening target, but they need to line it up, and they've only got a couple more seconds to do it. Can Sneaky Snakes pull off the miracle with all three members at 50%? Rockets Esports are looking to claim victory. They got decent split on Leanne. They go for the Hammer of Justice, but SSDS is too low. Rockets Esports claim that kill, and once again show dominance here for the Europe region.
You know, I'm going to be honest, that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
That was actually really, really well played by Sneaky Snakes. Maybe a bit shaky on the choices that got them here, but once they were actually in the game, they actually played that composition very well, I think.
I still don't agree with the pick. I think they did last a little bit longer, but longer doesn't necessarily mean it's a better comp. I would have really liked to see them stick to their guns. I know it's a situation where you're down 0-2, but I really think the healer exchange immediately and the map exchange, if you do these things a little bit earlier in the series, it puts you in a situation where it doesn't feel like you're as out of many options. I don't think this is something that they had prepared. Normally, a lot of teams get together, they talk about what they want to do as a backup. I do not think they had a backup for Thundercleave, and that's definitely something that's probably a mistake by their part.
Yeah, well, that does mean that Rockets Esports is going to take this 3-0 over Sneaky Snakes. And so they will be our victors here in this. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head exactly what that does for our group brackets. So we'll find that out as soon as we can in terms of what that means for the tournament status. But it does mean that our victors are right there on your screen. Rockets Esports doing incredibly well up against Sneaky Snakes, a team that a lot of people have just been falling over to.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad. I've counted Sneaky Snakes almost out every single time. The first time that I say I think they're going to win, they actually get 3-0'd, and which is crazy. It's all 3-0 so far today. These teams are here to play. They don't want to lose a single map. They don't want to have to do the blind pick. They want to just go in strong with the one comp, and a lot of teams are just really showing their strengths today. This is the day that separates the boys from the men.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this winners interview also once it's actually ready, because I really want to hear what Rockets Esports thinks about how that series went. I'm really interested to hear what sort of questions Jackson will have in mind once they're actually ready, once they're all set up.
I'll have to say, like, what CD was saying is, everyone's prepared for this. The teams that have been picking up those 3-0s so far, their wins are pretty much textbook. Like, they know what they're doing. They know how to play against all these comps that they're throwing at them. Maybe not an Ellie, Rhett, maybe in a second at the starting room, they're like, well, this should be an easy win, but I don't know. But other than that, it's just been really solid play out of Rockets.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sneaky Snakes, I actually had a chance to talk with them yesterday, and they said they were not afraid of that jungle. So this just really goes to show how strong Rockets Eclipse jungle is. Maybe they have a different play style, but Sneaky Snakes was definitely expecting that Windwalker DK. Not only that, Rockets Eclipse was playing the Windwalker DK into a jungle. They were playing that matchup. Maybe they wanted to feed into that a little bit, make them think they were going to play something else, and maybe that's why Sneaky Snakes did not prepare as well for this Thunder. So maybe there's a little bit of mind games going on backstage.
Yeah, quite possibly. We're going to find out, though. Jackson is down on the stage with Jamie for our winner's interview.
That's right, Josh. I'm standing by with Jamie, who was showing off some pretty slick elemental play in that last game. So, to start this thing off, I know that we saw a video with Cervantes saying how much it meant to him to finally be able to make it to the BlizzCon stage, but obviously this has got to mean a lot to you too. How are you feeling here?
It feels great. Like, last year I couldn't compete, so being able to actually come here and, prove that we can play is amazing. It's just the best feeling in the world, definitely.
You guys have definitely proven that you're ready to play, and you're here to play. So I have a question for you guys. Prior to this, you guys were mostly known for that TSG, but we're finally getting to see you get a little bit more game time. When you guys first formed your team, did you have that versatility in mind, or is this just one of those things where you guys are just playing together because you have good synergy?
We're definitely, I was brought on the team to do some multi-classing stuff. It just, at the time of regionals, TSG was really good, so it wasn't needed. Here we're definitely using me a lot more, using versatility and the different options that brings, for sure.
Yeah, I think that bringing you in the game, especially on that Elemental Shaman, has proved to be very effective for your new team. So I do have a question for you guys, and I don't mean to put you on blast here, but backstage, you guys did look a little bit nervous before we got everything going. But then, of course, when I see you guys playing, you guys are all smiles, definitely seem to be feeling good. So what do you guys do to get yourself in the right mindset?
Well, we're definitely one of those teams that just seems to click when we get on the stage and we start playing. Before, it can be whatever. I mean, we can be playing bad, we can be playing good. It doesn't, we're just chilled. But when we get on the stage, we're in the zone and we're ready to go always.
So I'm hearing a whole lot of love for Jamie. It feels like you guys got a lot of love. Go ahead and show him some love. Give him some support moving on in this tournament. I know you got a lot of fans out there. But all right, Josh, we'll go ahead and send it back to you. Let Jamie bask in the glory for a moment.
And bask in the glory is exactly what he should be doing right now. That was a very, very convincing win for Rocket's Eclipse going up against Sneaky Snakes there.